Welcome back, dear friends, to another exciting episode of Exploring the Dispensation of Bahá'u'lláh. We are on part 8, part 2, covering the conclusion part of paragraph 20. And without any further ado, we'll have our opening prayer. Thank you so much.
O thou who art the Lord of Lords, I testify that thou art the Lord of all creation, and the educator of all beings visible and invisible. I bear witness that thy power hath encompassed the entire universe, and that the hosts of the earth can never dismay thee, nor can the dominion of all peoples and nations deter thee from executing thy purpose. I confess that thou hast no desire except the regeneration of the whole world and the establishment of the unity of its peoples and the salvation of all them that dwell therein. Bahá'u'lláh.
Beautiful, Miss Claudia. Thank you so much. All right. So in our past session, we were, which I encourage all the viewers to go back and watch these sessions. In our past session, we were going through these administrative in the Baha'i buildings in the administrative center of the Baha'i faith, and looking at the evolution and change of Mount Carmel. What has happened to the mountain of God, the celestial Kaaba, as the beloved guardians calls it. So now we're going to our next administrative building on Mount Carmel. And so our next administrative building is the Center of the Study of Texts. Okay, the Center for the Study of the Texts. And this was completed in 1999. Okay, and this is from the Supreme Body, the Universal House of Justice. The Supreme Body writes, the Center for the Study of the Texts will be the seat of an institution of Baha'i scholars, the efflorescence of the present research department of the World Center, which will assist the Universal House of Justice in consulting the sacred writings and will prepare translations of and commentaries on the authoritative texts of the faith. So this is from the Supreme Body, the Universal House of Justice. So all these wonderful translations, all these that are coming out and from the seat of the Baha'i scholars is here at the Center for the Study of the Texts. And this is where the translations, the research department for the Universal House of Justice, all these letters that wonderful Baha'is write to the Supreme Body. And so they go and then they have to be researched. And so this is where the research department main office resides. All right. And so the Center for the Study of the Holy Texts, it consists of study rooms for resident and visiting scholars. So they're also visiting scholars. Not all the members of the Center for the Study of the Text, the research department, resides in the World Center. There are also members that are outside of the World Center, and they come and they are visiting scholars. There's meeting and conference rooms. There's a large reference library, a secretariat, and other ancillary spaces, totaling, and I'll use the American, so 83,420 square feet. The building is integrated into the mountain with a portico that reflects the classical motifs of the other buildings. The offices of the building enjoy natural light directly or through light wells, patios, and skylights. It now houses the research department and is the temporary home of the International Baha'i Library and other offices. So as you all recall from our past session, the International Baha'i Library, it will be in the future another major building on the Ark. It will be sitting directly opposite the Archives building. Okay, so and actually has very similar architecture to the archives building. It looks very similar to that Parthenon type of Greek style of what the archives building, and it will be seated directly opposite on the ark. Okay, so this is the entrance of the Center for the Study of the Sacred Texts, and you can see here there's an Esma Azam, the Baha'i symbol. Right there, the portico entrance of the Center for the Study of the Sacred Texts. That's a hard name. It's not an easy name. Center for the Study of the Sacred Texts is one of those words. If you say it 5 times fast, it will be a tongue twister. So, but the light comes through this portico, and it goes all the way down. And at the very bottom, there's a wonderful garden and fountain at the very base of this. And there's several light wells that bring illumination into the Center for the Study of the Sacred Texts. And this is, as you can see right here where my mouse is moving, this is part of the gardens that comes up. It's extremely beautiful in atmosphere here with this Greek style marble architecture, as well as the gardens, interior gardens, and with ample light pouring over here. This is, again, you can see this incredible portico entrance for this, the Center for the Study of the Sacred Texts. Again, you're looking up, and there's these wonderful lighting here, and you can see the 9 stars, and this is the recessed lighting at the very top as you're looking up. So moving to the next incredible structure, this is the International Teaching Center. And I was actually there on the incredible occasion of the dedication of the International Teaching Center in 2001. So it was an incredible, and we will see pictures of that coming up. This is from the Supreme Body, the Universal House of Justice. This is what the House of Justice writes. The International Teaching Center will be the seat of that institution, which is specifically invested with the twin functions of the protection and propagation of the cause of God. The institution itself, referred to by the beloved guardian in his writings, was established in June 1973, bringing to fruition the work of the hands of the cause of God residing in the Holy Land, and providing for the extension into the future of functions with which that body had been endowed. So as we all know, this incredible institution, the hands of the cause of God, that had come into being from His Holiness Bahá'u'lláh himself. His Holiness Bahá'u'lláh appointed hands of the cause of God, and then after him, His Holiness Abdul Baha, the beloved guardian. And after the beloved guardian, there was no one to appoint future hands of the cause. So after that, there was counselors. And so the institution of the counselors came into being. And so this is the seat for the international body of counselors, the International Teaching Center, which has these twin functions, just like Hands of the Cause of God had the twin functions. And at the very lower level, it would be auxiliary board members, where they also have these functions of propagation and protection. But at that very high level of counselors, you can see in international counselors, you can see it has these twin functions of protection and propagation of the cause of God. You see this? So this is the International Teaching Center, this institution that was brought into being and referred to by the beloved guardian in his writings and established June of 1973. The International Teaching Center is the 4th building of the Ark complex, 4th building. The use of this classic architecture was important for the integration of the building into the context of the World Center and the surrounding gardens. It consists of a 400-seat auditorium. And I don't know who of you friends that have been on pilgrimage, when you go on pilgrimage, on the 9th day, you get to go into this incredible auditorium, and it's so magnificent to sit there. And I'll show you a picture from it. It's very awesome. This there's meeting and conference rooms. There's a cafeteria and parking that covers almost 201,284 square feet. So it's a very large parking garage there, over 9 levels. To respect the beauty of the gardens and create a suitable scale, only 4 of the total 9 stories are visible. So there's 5 stories underground. So it's not just what you see, as they say. There's more to it than the pictures you see. There's 5 stories to the International Teaching Center underground. To respect the beauty of the gardens and create a suitable scale, there's, as I mentioned, only 4 of the total 9 stories are visible. The auditorium in the lower levels of the building is a key function of the International Teaching Center. The design principle for this hall was to have a large space for good acoustic performance and lectures. The multiple level seating creates a sense of scale, and the use of natural stone and maple paneling create a harmony throughout. One of the awesome things, I don't know of the friends here tonight have been in the International Teaching Center auditorium, is really wherever you're seated, you have a great view. That's one of the awesome things. And also the acoustics of the International Teaching Center auditorium is awesome. So this is something that you can, even if you're on the balcony or you're down on below. And so here's a picture of the International Teaching Center auditorium. It's very comfortable, as well as whether you're up on the balcony or in the high areas, you have a great view, unobstructed, as well as the acoustics of that space is really very, very good in that hall. The International Teaching Center is located on the arc laid out by the Guardian on the slope of Mount Carmel, above and to the east of the Shrine of the Baal. It is immediately to the east of the seat of the Universal House of Justice. Its design incorporates classical and contemporary elements. This was important when as Hossein Amanat, the architect, also wanted to incorporate contemporary elements in the design so that the building will not detract from the gardens around it. Most of the building is actually below ground. The building comprises largely of offices, but also incorporates a small lecture theater. Even though it's like 400 seating, but to modern standards, 400 is nothing. It's just a small lecture theater. And that's really when the members of the Universal House of Justice or International Teaching Center or guest lecturers come and give talks. And also when the parties, the pilgrimage groups come and visit, and there's talks. They come to visit. They come to the International Teaching Center auditorium. So it's an incredible experience to see this space. Also, as mentioned, this is another one of the buildings that is also temporarily houses the International Baha'i Library. There's many books also that are here in the International Teaching Center. This is the entrance of the International Teaching Center. You can also see the Esma Azam here above the doorway to the entrance. This is the beautiful, beautiful white marble that is characteristic of the buildings on the arc. And there's the greatest name above the door of the International Teaching Center. This is such a beautiful design. I love this. This is the greatest name here. This is, and this is a 9 pointed star here. This is what's called a skylight. So this type of skylight is a 9 pointed star, and it's just to bring light in, and just is a beautiful design for a semi 9 pointed star. This looks really cool. It's a 9 pointed star, but it's not a full circle, semicircle, 9 pointed star. And this was the occasion that I was there during my period of service, which was such a privilege and honor. So let me read this for you. The International Teaching Center, as mentioned, was designed by architect Hossein Amanat and built in this 3rd stage of the building of the Ark. The seat of the International Teaching Center is where the International Teaching Center is based. And special events were held in January of 2001 during the Conference of the Continental Counselors, which auxiliary board members were, for the first time, invited to attend to mark the occupation of the International Teaching Center of its permanent seat on Mount Carmel. And this coincided with the announcement by the Universal House of Justice of the beginning of the 5th epoch of the formative age of the faith. And so this is the members of the Universal House of Justice, the International Teaching Center, the Continental Boards of Counselors, and the auxiliary board members. They were all assembled in front of this new, brand spanking new, beautiful building right here that is now the permanent seat of the International Teaching Center, January 2001. And I was, my service was right here. See, this is the International Teaching Center, and this is the Universal House of Justice, right where my mouse is hovering over. So it's literally right beside it on the Ark. And how the design of the Ark is, it's so beautiful and so conforming to the natural landscape that you wouldn't even know that there was a parking garage there. A parking garage, because how they have done it is just, it looks like grass and it's covered by grass, and the eyesight line just sees the grass. But when you get up close to it, then you see, oh, there's an entrance there. And then you see, oh, okay, there's a parking garage entrance, and then you go in. But if you from a distance, it just looks like a wonderful grassy slope. And so when I was serving there, I would walk up this arky mountain going from the International Teaching Center and going up to the Universal House of Justice. And right before you enter, right in front of the Universal House of Justice, there's a parking garage right to the left of the Universal House of Justice. And I entered there and to go, and right in there, there's the office of the printing press. I don't know if it's currently there, but back in 2001, during my service, that's where it was. And that is exactly where they printed the official documents for this occasion, which is the incredible occasion marking the January 2001, the coming together of this conference of counselors, marking the conference of counselors. So my responsibility was getting the ink color right for the documents, and it had to be this perfect hue. And so, I was in the office of the printing press, and the Universal House of Justice had picked the color. And then you had to go through all the different palettes to find the exact color and match it. And because when you receive a letter from the Supreme Body, okay, you receive it usually in your email or whatever, and it's electronic, okay? Very, very rarely do people receive an actual letter in hard copy letter. if you actually ever received a hard copy letter, then it is on house ink, okay? That ink color has been specifically chosen by the supreme body, okay? It's not a normal letter. It's that ink color has been chosen, and then they emboss the letters. It's so cool, and that comes from the body of the supreme body, universal justice. There's an embossing and stamp seal that makes the Universal House of Justice, when they finalize and say this is from the supreme body, there's an embossing, and the stamp shows Universal House of Justice. It's very cool. I love the office of the printing press and showing the dedication of service that every element goes into it, and the quality of the paper and the quality of the ink and everything that they do to even cut costs at every element is all that love and service that goes into it. And I was just giving you an anecdote from my personal experience, which is being there. It's very interesting. Anyway, moving on. So now we're shifting gear, okay? So that was Carmel, okay? That was the great mountain of God. Now we're shifting gear to the other holy places mentioned in paragraph 20, okay? So one of the other holy places is Sinai, okay? And Sinai is, according to the Bible and the Quran, Sinai, Mount Sinai was the place where God talked to Moses and gave him the station of a manifestation of God. Moses also received the 10 commandments from Jehovah on Mount Sinai. It is located in southern Sinai, and it is known as Jabal Musa in Arabic. So that is the name in Arabic. And so here's some pictures from different illustrations. This is Mount Sinai, and this is what they have done in their books. And this is a depiction of the mountain, Mount Sinai, and all the followers gathering to see the light of God, per se. And there are many, many symbolic references. Many, actually. To do a compilation of Sinai, there's quite a lot of references to Sinai, as well as the burning bush as the dawning place of revelation. So I'm just sharing a few examples, and these are coming from the writings of Bahá'u'lláh. The first is from the Gleanings. It's page 16. It says, "Oh, how I long to announce unto every spot on the earth, on the surface of the earth, and to carry to each one of its cities the glad tidings of this revelation, a revelation to which the heart of Sinai hath been attracted, and in whose name the burning bush is calling, unto God the Lord of Lords belong the kingdoms of earth and heaven." And again, this is also from Baha'u'lláh. He says, "Deliver yourselves from your evil and corrupt affections, and hasten to embrace the light of the undying fire that gloweth on the Sinai of this mysterious and transcendent revelation." Deliver yourselves from your evil and corrupt affections. This echoes the language of Advent of divine justice, right? It's exactly what we have to do. Deliver ourselves from any corrupt or inclinations or affections. And then what we have to do? We have to hasten. Does hasten mean move slowly? Or does hasten mean, waddle or, trumfle along? What does hasten mean? It means move fast. Hasten to embrace. Doesn't mean just, yeah, I get it. It's a nice faith, it's a good thing. Or what does Baha'u'lláh say? He says, hasten to embrace. Totally wrap yourselves around it. Embrace the light of the undying fire. This is what Baha'u'lláh is saying. Hasten, go fast, and embrace. Embrace means almost to protect it, right? As if the coldness of the fire, of the winds, of evil are trying to blow out this undying fire. So embrace it as if even to hold it for your own and protect it. And so this is yours. This is the greatest gem and jewel that you have. Embrace the light of this undying fire that gloweth on the Sinai of this mysterious and transcendent revelation. And this is, my dear friends, is coming from the tablet of Carmel. Call out to Zion, O Carmel, and announce the joyful tidings. He that was hidden from mortal eyes is come. His all-conquering sovereignty is manifest. His all-encompassing splendor is revealed. Beware lest thou hesitate or halt. Hasten forth and circumambulate the city of God that hath descended from heaven, the pure in heart and the company of the most exalted angels. Oh, how I long to announce unto every spot on the surface of the earth and to carry to each one of its cities the glad tidings of this revelation, a revelation to which the heart of Sinai hath been attracted, and in whose name the burning bush is calling, unto God, the Lord of lords, belong the kingdoms of earth and heaven. Verily, this is the day in which both land and sea rejoice at this announcement, the day for which have been laid up those things which God, through a bounty beyond the ken of mortal mind or heart, hath destined for revelation. Ere long will God sail his ark upon thee, and will manifest the people of Baha who have been mentioned in the book of names. So cool. I love this language of Baha'u'lláh. I mean, granted, this is translation, right? This is English, and I'm not fluent in Persian to be able to read the original language, but even the translation of English here, it's so profound, so beautiful. This language here, ere long God will sail his ark upon thee. So all of you, dear friends, that know the story of Noah's Ark, Noah's Ark is the salvation of humanity. And this is, he's saying, Baha'u'lláh is calling to Carmel, Mount Carmel, and saying, ere long, God will sail his ark on thee, the mountain of God. This will be the salvation of all humanity. And then what does he say? And will manifest the people of Baha who have been mentioned in the book of names. What is this book of names? The Qayyum al-Asma. This is the book of names. So this is, and so all of this, dear friends, has been mentioned and foretold. Hasten forth and circumambulate the city of God. And we've talked about the city of God, right? The city of God is where the manifestation of God is. And in this dispensation, the celestial Kaaba is the shrine of the Babs. Hasten forth, circumambulate the shrine of the Babs. Circumambulate. Our hearts should be circumambulating. Oh, how I long to announce unto every spot on the surface of the earth and to carry to each one of its cities the glad tidings of this revelation. Excellent. What an incredible language here. And now we move to another one of these incredible spots, these holy sites mentioned. And this is Hijaz. Okay? So our reader is going to be Zamru Hijan. If you could kindly read this, you have a beautiful voice. Go for it.
Thank you. Hijaz is a desert in the Arabian Peninsula where the Prophet Muhammad appeared. Mecca and Medina, the cities closely associated with Muhammad, are located in the Hijaz. Mecca, the birthplace of Muhammad, is the most sacred of the Muslims around the world Mecca, the birthplace of Muhammad, is the most sacred of the Muslims around the world face Mecca during their daily prayers. Every year during the last month of the Islamic calendar, several million Muslims make the pilgrimage or Hajj to Mecca.
Excellent, excellent. So this is a desert. That's really what it is. It's in the Arabian Peninsula where the Prophet Muhammad appeared. And you can see the distance here on this picture. This is the distance from Mecca to Medina, and they're closely associated with Muhammad, the birth, and Mecca, the birthplace of Muhammad, and is the most sacred of the Muslim sites around the world. This is where that incredible, and I'll have show pictures of this, the incredible site of the Kaaba, that black rock, and we're going to talk about that coming up. Okay. So this is the image of the holy site right here for Islam. Okay. This is an incredible pavilion per se, where the Muslims gather. And what do they do there? They circumambulate. Just like when Baha'u'lláh said here, call out to Zion, right? He called his followers. He says, hasten forth and circumambulate the city of God, right? In that dispensation, this is the city of God. This is the celestial Kaaba of Islam. And this is where, and so the Muslims, they circumambulate around the Kaaba, which is right here. Okay. And this is in Mecca. So this is just the site. This is pre-COVID, dear friends. So don't worry, okay? So this is, you can see how devout, and these friends they travel from all around the world. And there's an incredible application process and systematization of how the friends go on pilgrimage, on Hajj, to go to Mecca. And they go on pilgrimage. And you can see they're all prostrating here. And then you can see what an incredible picture this is. You can see the circumambulation of the friends going around the Kaaba, okay? Right here. And then there's just a few of them that are standing here. They're like, I'm not going to really go circumambulate. I've already got to the source. So you can see them, they're just standing here. Okay, it's an incredible picture of the whirlwind of the friends circumambulating. So let us explore this also more. Okay, here we are. Mecca was a religious center before the time of Muhammad, and several holy sites within the sacred precincts of its great mosque called Al-Haram, and had religious significance in pre-Islamic times. Abraham built the Kaaba, right here, His Holiness Abraham. Not this beautiful thing, this was all after, okay? Abraham built the Kaaba, a windowless cube-shaped building, now situated in the courtyard of the mosque. In the southeastern corner of the Kaaba is the black stone, given to Abraham by the angel Gabriel. Also within the precincts of the mosque is the sacred well called the Zamzam. No correlation to Zamruhi. This is Zamzam, by the way. Okay. So this is Zamzam used by Hagar, the wife of Abraham, and the mother of Ishmael, the son of Abraham. Okay. So this is has even pre-Islamic origins, this Kaaba right here. So the black stone of Mecca, this is what it looks like. And they've actually almost dissected it. Kind of not dissected it, but this is a slice section of what it looks like. This is the front view of the black stone and the side view of what the black stone looks like. It's they think it's a meteorite, and it's as a so the black stone of Mecca is a crystal stone that Muslims believe came from heaven to earth through Archangel Gabriel. So Muslims believe that this is a stone coming from the heavens. The scientific world say that this is a meteorite. It doesn't, it's a black stone that doesn't originate from the area because it's so foreign looking, okay? It is the centerpiece of a sacred ritual called tawaf that many pilgrims perform on Hajj to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. A pilgrimage that Islam requires its faithful to make at least once in their lifetimes, if at all possible. And the stone is located inside the Kaaba. So it's located in this structure, okay? This is not the whole rock. It's a relatively smallish rock. It's not huge, and that is the Kaaba. It's this, okay? And the stone is located inside the Kaaba, a chamber in the center of the Masjid al-Haram Mosque, which is that huge pavilion, okay? That huge pavilion is the Masjid al-Haram Mosque. The Kaaba, which is covered with a black drape, displays the black stone about 5 feet off the ground, and worshippers walk around it during their pilgrimages. Muslim pilgrims revere the stone as a powerful symbol of the faith. Moving on, that was just a snapshot of Hijaz, okay? One of the holy sites mentioned by the beloved guardian. Now we move to Jerusalem, one of the most peaceful places on this planet, right? Was the holy site of 3 major religions. So what could go wrong there, right? Historically. So Jerusalem is the capital that is not recognized internationally, and the largest city of Israel, situated between the Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea, about 36 miles east of Tel Aviv, the financial center of Israel. And Jerusalem dominates the intersection of Israel and the Palestinian West Bank. So Jews, Christians, and Muslims all consider Jerusalem to be a holy city, since it contains sites sacred to all 3 religions. It's a major holy city for the Jews, major holy city for Christians, as well as a major holy city for Muslims, okay? And you're like, Ehsan, why is it a major holy city for Muslims? I'll tell you also why, okay? So it's not just Mecca, okay? But also Jerusalem. It's a major holy site for Muslims too. So here's some beautiful pictures. I mean, I encourage you, if you can, go to and visit. These places are stunningly beautiful. So you can see here, this is the Wailing Wall, okay? This is the Wailing Wall that is part of the old temple, the second temple that was built by the Jews. So this is part of the old temple. And so Jews, they come here and they have parchment or written letters, prayers. And they go and place these prayers in the nooks and crannies of the Wailing Wall. And it's wonderful to see. And these people are so reverent. The Orthodox Jews with their tassels head and their yarmulkes on their head. And these people are beautiful. And they go and they place their prayers there and they're prostrating and praying there. And just to the back of it is the dome right here, the golden dome, the Dome of the Rock right here. And this is where, according to Islam, Muhammad, His Holiness Muhammad, on his flight to heavens, this is where his footstep, his last step was before he entered to go to the heavens. So significant, absolutely, right? So this is an incredible spot right here, the Dome of the Rock. And then to the left, you could see this is the Christian, one of the Christian sites right here. And I'm not a biblical scholar on Jerusalem sites. Faisal John, do you know what site this one is over here, or no? You not sure.
Isn't this?
Don't know the name of it, but that's where a lot of Christians believe that Jesus Christ was born.
That's right.
It
I
is. You remember?
I think so. I think is this might be the church.
Not all Christians, but a lot of
Something
Christians.
De La Rosa is called.
Yeah, we can look it up.
It's the path.
We actually visited it when we went for pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When I one of my trips on pilgrimage, I visited that.
It's in the market right now. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the
That's
bazaar.
an interesting thing, and that was one observation when I was on pilgrimage, and I had the privilege to go also see Jerusalem. Was I remember from my study of the Bible that when His Holiness Christ was throwing out these markets, people selling things in the market, and He said, "Be gone, be gone." And sadly, there's many people in and around these holy sites that are selling things and their businesses, and it was frankly for me, seeing that, it was dismaying, and I was like, these are holy sites of these faiths, and these people are selling things right there, trying to sell candles or incense, or trying to make money quickly off these holy sites. It was sad for me, at least, to see that, and I understand why they're doing it, but these sites are sacred for these faiths. So here's other awesome pictures. This is a picture of the Wailing Wall with the...
John.
Please.
That is a church, and it's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And that is really where Christ was crucified.
Oh, crucified. Okay. So
the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Excellent. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
and that there is a stone there where his body was washed, and there is a dark little opening for the cave where his body was put for the 3 days.
That's right. So you can see in this one picture, three faiths: Islam, Christian.
And let me clarify: Jesus Christ was known to have been born in Bethlehem.
That's right.
But when he was crucified, his body was laid in that church. Yes, right. Thank you. Right. He was born in Bethlehem.
That's correct. So this is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and as I recall, it's six or seven different churches have divided up the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And I remember this from my pilgrimage when I was there, and I visited the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And I remember there was the Greek Orthodox, and then there was, they had different areas of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And I encourage you to look it up online and, learn about these different holy sites. Very interesting. But I think it was like 6 or so different areas of that church were to the different sects of Christianity. It was an interesting site. Okay. And so here's another view. This is from the courtyard there. This is the Wailing Wall again. There is another view of Jerusalem and this beautiful gold dome of this mosque and the site of the old Jerusalem right there. And now we're seeing the beautiful blue of this mosque, and with the gold. And this is not like gold leaf. This is real, authentic gold on this beautiful dome of this mosque. And here, this is again, dear friends, pre-COVID, all the friends congregating here at this beautiful Wailing Wall here, the historic site. I just wanted to share some pictures. And as mentioned, this is the Church of the Sepulchre right here. So you can see the intricate calligraphy that goes around this mosque here. And so this is from Zechariah chapter 8, verse 3. It says, "Thus says the Lord, Thus says the Lord, I will return to Zion and dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. Jerusalem shall be called the city of truth, the mountain of the Lord of hosts, the holy mountain. So this will be a holy mountain, shall be called the city of truth, the mountain of the Lord of hosts, the holy mountain. So according to the Old Testament, David brought the sacred Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem and installed it in a new tabernacle. He built a royal palace and other buildings and strengthened the city's fortifications. Although David greatly expanded the kingdom of Israel and made Jerusalem its capital, the city and the temple were quite modest at that time. Okay? So we're going to see some pictures of the development of Jerusalem. That's interesting. I thought it was interesting to show you this. Solomon, I'm sure you heard of King Solomon, right? Solomon, his son and successor, improved the temple and enlarged the city. He built a city wall and many buildings on a scale of magnificence previously unknown in Israel. So let me see if I have that to show you. Here we go. Okay, so this is a pretty good illustration. Okay, you see this city of David. You see this city of David? It was pretty small. This was the city of David pre, okay? City of David wasn't very big. Then, now this is with Solomon, okay? Solomon, you see how much he expanded it? All of these, upper city Zion, lower city, all of these are buildings in here, okay? Buildings, there's a theater, and these are the north wall. And then he had all of this fortification, the north wall here, tower and praetorium. He had a whole palace. This is Herod's palace. So an incredible expansion was done under King Solomon. But prior, city of David was just a few buildings and a wall. So relatively speaking, incomparable how much more Solomon built up Jerusalem. So here's an old depiction. Okay, this is what Solomon did. Okay, the palace, all these buildings going all the way around. Okay, it was quite an incredible city. It had all these buildings, had everything you needed in those days. It had every single thing that you would need. And he says, ye men of Galilee, stand ye in the name of Jesus, which is taken up, as ye have seen him go unto. Gazing into heaven, this into heaven shall go unto heaven. I think it's coming from Acts. So this is the city of Jerusalem. And Christ flowing into Jerusalem. And so this is a depiction of the holy city of Jerusalem here. And this is how they, based upon architecture and how all those buildings looked back then. This is the incredible fortress, Herod's fortress, that it was quite an encampment. All the walls. So this is coming from Hebrews. It says, but you have come to Mount Zion, and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to innumerable angels in festal gathering. The heavenly Jerusalem, the city of God here. You have come to Mount Zion, and the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem. So this is a blessed city. It's a city of God. Solomon's temple was destroyed, and the Jews exiled by the Babylonians in the year 586 BC. So that beautiful, beautiful temple, right? This whole thing destroyed, ransacked. Babylonians came and invaded, destroyed it, 586 BC. And in 539 BC, the Persians conquered Babylonia and allowed the Jews to return to Jerusalem the following year. The construction of a new temple, this is the second Jewish temple, was then undertaken on the ruins of the old. Then what happened? Alexander the Great captured Jerusalem, 333 BC. After his death, Jerusalem was ruled by Egyptians and later the Syrians. And in 165 BC, Judas Maccabeus liberated Jerusalem from the Syrians, and Jerusalem became a major pilgrimage site. So it went through many different hands. The sacking again of the temple was by Alexander the Great. He wasn't very great to the Jews, I can tell you that. So this is from a tablet of His Holiness Abdul Baha, and I found this. It's in Baha'i News, and so this is called the Gathering of Israel. Okay, it's a tablet of Abdul Baha. So this is Abdul Baha writing here. He says, "You have asked me a question with regard to the gathering of the children of Israel in Jerusalem in accordance with prophecy. Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies, is a revered temple, a sublime name, for it is the city of God. The gathering of Israel at Jerusalem means, therefore, and prophecies that Israel as a whole is gathering beneath the banner of God and will enter the kingdom of the Ancient of Days. For the celestial Jerusalem, which has as its center the Holy of Holies, is a city of the kingdom, a divine city. The east and west are but a small corner of that city. Moreover, materially as well as spiritually, the Israelites will all gather in the Holy Land. This is irrefutable prophecy. For the ignominy which Israel has suffered for well nigh 2,500 years will now be changed into eternal glory, and in the eyes of all, the Jewish people will become glorified to such an extent as to draw the jealousy of its enemies and the envy of its friends." This is according to information received by the National Assembly many years ago. This tablet was revealed by the Master in the year 1897 to a Jewish community in the Orient. Isn't that interesting that he says that the Jewish people will gather, the Israelites will gather in the Holy Land? And this is all based upon prophecy that the Jews will return home to Israel. And Abdul Baha confirms it. He says this is going to happen. And this was in 1897. And he also says, talking about that Jerusalem is the Holy of Holies, a revered temple, sublime name. He says it is the city of God. Okay. And this is from the Beloved Guardian. And this is from an incredible letter, which I encourage all of you to read. This is a letter to the chairman of the United Nations Special Committee on Palestine. This is an awesome, awesome, awesome letter by the Beloved Guardian dated July 14th, 1947. Okay, so I encourage you to read this. And this is a summary of the origin, the teachings, and institutions of the faith. And it's the Beloved Guardian just boom, 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 stating everything about the faith of Baha'u'lláh and how it is an independent faith and incredible language. Encourage you to look up this awesome letter to the United Nations by the beloved guardian. The beloved guardian states, whereas Jerusalem is the spiritual center of Christendom, it is not the administrative center of either the Church of Rome or any other Christian denomination. Likewise, although it is regarded by Muslims as the spot wherein one of its most sacred shrines is situated, the holy sites of the Mohammedan faith and the center of its pilgrimages are to be found in Arabia, not in Palestine. The Jews alone offer somewhat of a parallel to the attachment which the Baha'is have for this country, inasmuch as Jerusalem holds the remains of their holy temple and was the seat of both the religious and political institutions associated with their past history. So here the Jews alone offer somewhat of a parallel attachment here. So that's what the beloved guardian is saying to Jerusalem, as we have not only have our holy sites here, but as we also have our administrative sites in the World Center in Israel. Now we're going to look at just a few of the Hebrew prophets mentioned. And this is also at the ending part of paragraph 20. Okay, it's just there's a few Hebrew prophets mentioned, and then we'll, checking on our time, then we'll transition to our next section. In paragraph 20, His Holiness Baha'u'lláh makes reference to 3 Hebrew prophets, okay? He mentions Isaiah, Elijah, and Solomon. So Isaiah, Elijah, and Solomon. And Baha'u'lláh confirms that he is the one whom the tongue of Isaiah hath extolled. So he is the one. So let's first look at Isaiah. Amongst Christians, Isaiah, who lived during the 8th century BC, is considered as one of the major prophets of the Old Testament. The book of Isaiah is the first of the 3 books of prophecy in the Hebrew Bible. The book has 66 chapters. The first 39 chapters prophesies the destruction of Judah, the most powerful of the 12 tribes of Israel. So there's 12 tribes of Israel, right? And then Isaiah comes and he says, okay, I'm going to give you 39 chapters. And the first of these chapters, these 39 chapters about the destruction of the most powerful of these tribes. And the other 27 chapters prophesies the coming of the day of days, the establishment of the kingdom of God on earth, and the restoration of the nation of Israel. The coming of the day of days. And that's where we are, dear friends. We're in this day of days, the coming of Baha'u'lláh. In his prophecies about the second coming of Christ, Isaiah mentions that the glory of the Lord will be revealed and all mankind together will see it. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. The glory of the Lord shall be revealed. Glory of the Lord. And remember, this is coming from Aramaic, the original language, Aramaic. And then it was also which is a sister language to Arabic. Glory of the Lord, glory of God translates to Arabic, Baha'u'lláh. Baha'u'lláh. The glory of the Lord shall be revealed. Baha'u'lláh shall be revealed. This is right there, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 5. And all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. In exaltation of the glory of the God, Isaiah states, and the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. So this is from Isaiah chapter 62, verse 2. This is the King James Version for reference. And all kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name. So it's not like coming, oh, this is Abraham again, or this is Moses again, or Jesus come back and this is Jesus. But he's going by Jesus. So it's not exactly Jesus, but it's Jesus now. So no, he's got a new name here, okay? And and in this day and age, he has a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. And with the coming of the glory of God, Isaiah calls on Zion, Jerusalem, and the daughter of Zion. Awake, awake, O Zion. So calling upon the mountain, right? He's calling upon Zion. O Zion, clothe yourself with strength. Put on your garments of splendor. And then he calls to the mountain of Jerusalem. He says, O Jerusalem, the holy city, the uncircumcised and defiled will not enter you again. Shake off your dust. Rise up, sit enthroned. O Jerusalem, free yourself from the chains on your neck. O captive daughter of Zion. The biblical scholars have interpreted the daughter of Zion in different terms that include the Jewish people and the Temple Mount. So he says, awake, awake, clothe yourself with strength. Shake off your dust. Rise up, free yourselves from your chains on your neck. This is all the being under the yoke, per se, of slavery, being under the yoke of banishment and excommunication, being banished, the Jews having to leave their home in Jerusalem, and the sacking of their city. And then, and so he's saying, awake, awake, clothe yourself with strength, shake off that dust, rise up, free yourself from the chains around your neck. Because the coming of the glory of God is Bahá'u'lláh. Be awake, be alert, right? This is Isaiah chapter 52, verses 1 through 3. Be ready, be alert. And then the hastening of Elijah. And in paragraph 20, Baha'u'lláh announces, Elijah hath hastened unto my court, and hath circumambulated in the daytime and in the night season my throne of glory. So who was Elijah? Elijah was one of the prophets in the kingdom of Israel in the 8th century BC. And according to Abdul Baha, after the departure of Moses and following the decline of the glory of Solomon's era, God sent Elijah, the prophet, who redeemed the people, renewed the law of God, and established an era of new life for Israel. So that's what Elijah did. And all these prophets did. They renewed faith. Because back then, faith after the manifestation of God had left, per se, after he passed away, whether after he either was executed, whether it was crucified or whatever, after they were gone, the faith in that manifestation of God started to wane very quickly often, okay? So there were these other prophets, these lesser prophets. And with these lesser prophets, what they were instructed by the Lord to do was to redeem the people and renew the law of God and establish an era of new life, bringing that spirit back, okay? So we're going to also talk about this in the upcoming section. The difference between the station of these prophets with a small p and prophets with a capital P, okay? So these prophets, what their role was, okay? And in the Bible, there is a prophecy that Elijah will return. And so this is coming from Abdul Baha, and this is in Some Answer Question. What does he say? He says, there's this prophecy before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. And Abdu'l-Baha explains in the gospel, the return of Christ and Elijah is promised. The coming of Christ and Elijah is promised. And this is from Malachi. It says, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And so, very interestingly, as we mentioned in this dispensation of Bahá'u'lláh, paragraph 20 says, Elijah hath hastened unto my court and have circumambulated in the daytime and in the night season. So Elijah's come. This is what Baha'u'lláh is saying. He says, Elijah has come and has circumambulated my court in the daytime and the night season. So he says in book of Malachi, it says, Elijah the prophet has to come before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So Baha'u'lláh is saying, Elijah hath come already. Now are the last of the three prophets mentioned, these in paragraph 20. Baha'u'lláh states, Solomon in all his majesty circles in adoration around me in this day. And we saw how incredible Solomon, what he did to Jerusalem, built it up. So that was just, I wanted you to see the scale of his works. Solomon, he was a minor prophet and one of the kings of Israel. And according to the Hebrew Bible, he built the first Jewish temple in Jerusalem. And he was also known to be great in wisdom, wealth, as well as in power. King Solomon, the wise King Solomon, he was of great wisdom, power. And according to His Holiness Abdu'l-Baha, during the reign of Solomon, the sciences and as well as the arts were made known to mankind. Even Greek philosophers became students of Solomon's teachings. And that's from Abdu'l-Baha in London. When Abdu'l-Baha was in London, he mentioned the wisdom of Solomon. Numerous historical records also indicate the philosophers of Greece acquired the major part of their philosophy, both divine and material, from the disciples of Solomon. And that again was also from Abdu'l-Baha. We find that in The Secret of Divine Civilization. So how much inspiration from these Greek philosophers, as well as their sciences and the arts, have come from the wisdom, the divine inspiration that was blessed to King Solomon, this prophet. So there we are, dear friends. That is the snapshot covering paragraph 20. So any questions at this point before we move on to our next section?
I have something for you, Ihsan.
Please, dear Tesfa, go for it.
Yeah, because today, sorry, I'm not feeling good today, but I just only here for the spirit of love of the Baha'u'lláh. So what I want to say is, for every one of you, I just want to give you a homework. Why is God chosen the Israel to be the holy place of the Christians, Muslim, Baha'is, and all these things? What is the reason behind? So I've been there as a Baha'i. When I went to Israel 3-4 times, I've been going through the holy places to understand and the secret and the beauty of everything, and instead of hearing from somebody else. I don't know if the rest of you have that kind of interest to go there and find out. But now, once you are bringing it here on the screen, I just want to mention why is the Lord chosen the Israel to be the holy place for all his dispensations.
Abraham by God.
Miss Claudia, did you have a question or answer or okay?
Well, I was just, I guess I was muttering. I was just referring to myself that that God promised Israel as the chosen city way back when Abraham.
That is correct. I mean, it's prophesied. It's prophesied in the writings that Israel, the land of Palestine, will be blessed. And as to your question, why has that been the location? Is
because it's the city of God. So
me personally, I never like asking why did God do this or why did God do that? Okay,
he just,
you know. Behind. And another thing, honestly, here's another very simple S-on answer. You know, before we transition to our next part, it might be a beautiful test of humanity. I mean, we see the Jerusalem, you know, different faiths, you know, the challenge of working together, you know, in a location. And the entire Israel is now also the home, per se, the administrative center, as well as spiritual center of the Baha'i faith. Okay? Right now, the Baha'i community is relatively small. And in the future, it will be much larger. Okay? The reality is, this will be another one of the faiths of God inhabiting Israel. And they will be like, now Israel has 4 major world religions inhabiting this little spot on the planet. Relatively, Israel is so small compared to the geographics, you know, other places around the world. And then it has another holy place, you know. So the reality is that, yeah, this is, might be just another spot that is a demonstration of the spiritual possibilities of these religions working together, coming together, that they're all chapters of the same book of God. And also, all of these sites have been mentioned at different places as holy places, sites. And a different answer to you, dear Tesfaye.
I know it is hard. But,
it's a hard question because whenever we ask, why did God do this? Or why did he? But the answer is also an advent, okay? Why did the manifestations of God appear where they appeared, okay? That's a more profound question. It's answered in Advent of divine justice. Okay, because then you could say, okay, why did His Holiness Jesus Christ appear in Palestine? Okay, and the answer is also in Advent. At that point, at that time, that was the most degenerate of spots on the planet. Okay, and so that's where the manifestation of God appears. And why didn't His Holiness Muhammad appear in the Saudi Arabian desert and, you know, go from Mecca, Medina, or whatever, you know, and that was the most degenerate place on the planet at that point in time. Why did His Holiness Bahá'u'lláh, you know, come to Persia, and, you know, most degenerate spot on the planet at that point in time? Bahá'u'lláh didn't choose to come to Israel. He was an exile. He was sent from Iran to Iraq to, you know, Constantinople to Adrianople, and as a prisoner ended up in Israel. It wasn't out of choice. He wasn't like, hey, I want to get on a boat and go to Israel. So it was by, you know, he was prophesied to go there, but he was sent as an exile. Manager John, you have a hand, please, before.
I wanted to know the book of name. Is it a physical book, or it is the spiritual, or is it like Crimson book?
They are both real books. The Qayyum al-Asma is a real book.
No,
okay?
Qayyum al-Asma, I know that it is a real book. But
that's the book of
name, is it the book of name is Qayyum al-Asma? I don't know. I don't think so.
I will send it to you, Manager John, okay?
That would be
I will send it to you. I'll send it to you. I'll also send you, also the Crimson book is also another real book, okay?
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, these are titles, okay? The Crimson book, okay? So
Because
these are...
I was checking and I didn't find anything. They said that they couldn't find any books that it says book of the name. So
yeah, it's a title. It's a title. It's a title, okay? So I will send that to the class also. Okay, boom, beautiful. So checking our time, we're pretty good. We got 15 or so minutes. So that will get us into the beginning part of our next section. Okay, here we go, dear friends. Okay, so now we're getting into paragraphs 21 through 24. Okay, this is going to be your homework, dear friends, paragraphs 21 through 24. And paragraph 21 starts, okay, let me see. This is the King of Days. Oh, actually, by the righteousness of God. Let me see, make sure, double check. By the righteousness of God. Yes, 21 starts. By the righteousness of God. Bahá'u'lláh wishing to reveal the full potency. It starts on page 106, okay? Okay, so that's paragraph 121. So these are the major themes that we're going to be addressing, the topics. Drawing on the invincible power. Okay, this is such an awesome, awesome subject. And and as we're going through this section, I want each one of you, as you are all teachers of the cause of God, and for you to remember, how much am I drawing on this invincible power, calling upon his name when you go out to teach, promote his word, and open your mouth and say this or that? Are you drawing on his name? Or say, when you're calling upon his name for prayers and assistance with this or that, are you drawing on that invincible power? And then the importance of this day, not the Wednesday that we currently are, but when I say the importance of this day meaning the day of God, the King of Days, the importance of this day, the King of Days, the day of Bahá'u'lláh. So this is what we're going to be exploring. And then very briefly, this is not meant to be designed for a full proof and major discussion. We're just going to be touching on the seal of the prophets, okay? Because this is mentioned in the paragraphs 21 through 24, okay? So I have 2 slides and to explain what seal of the prophets is, okay? As well as the creative power of the word. That the word of the manifestation of God has power, potentialities. So these are the major themes that are in these paragraphs. So let me check. We got 10 minutes. So let us read some of these paragraphs in the meantime. Okay. Here we go. Paragraph 21. Okay. Our first reader, Mani Shejan, if you could kindly read this one for us.
By the righteousness of God, Bahá'u'lláh wishing to reveal the full potency of his invincible power asserts, should a man all alone arise in the name of Baha and put on the armor of his love, him will the Almighty cause to be victorious. Though the forces of earth and heaven be arrayed against him, by God besides whom is none other God, should anyone arise for the triumph of our cause, him will God render victorious. Through tens of thousands of enemies be leagued against him. Though tens of thousands of enemies be leagued against him. And if his love for me wax stronger, God will establish his ascendancy over all the powers of earth and heaven. Thus have we breathe the spirit of power into all regions,
Beautifully read, Manish-Jan. What, I love this quote so much. Paragraph 22, and let us have our next reader. Okay. Let us get Riaz John, could you kindly read this for us?
The Dispensation of Bahá'u'lláh, paragraphs under study, paragraph 22. This is the King of Days. He thus extols the age that has witnessed the advent of his revelation, the day that hath seen the coming of the best beloved, him who through all eternity hath been acclaimed the desire of the world. The world of being shineth in this day with the resplendency of this divine revelation. All created things extol its saving grace and sing its praises. The universe is wrapped in an ecstasy of joy and gladness. The scriptures of past dispensations celebrate the great jubilee that must needs greet this most great day of God. Well is it with him that have lived to see this day and hath recognized its station, where mankind to give heed in a befitting manner to no more than one word of such a praise, it would be so filled with delight as to be overpowered and lost in wonder. Entranced, it would then shine forth resplendent above the horizon of true understanding.
Beautifully read. Thank you, Riaz John. Beautiful. Okay. And our next reader, Miss Donna, could you read this one for us?
Sure. Be fair, ye peoples of the world. He thus appeals to mankind. Is it meet and seemly for you to question the authority of one whose presence he who confers with God, Moses, have longed to attain? The beauty of whose countenance God's well-beloved, Muhammad, had yearned to behold, through the potency of whose love the Spirit of God, Jesus, ascended to heaven, for whose sake the primal point, the Bab, offered up his life. Seize your chance, he admonishes his followers, inasmuch as a fleeting moment is this day, excelled centuries of a bygone age. Neither sun nor moon have witnessed a day such as this. It is evident that every age in which a manifestation of God have lived is divinely ordained and may, in a sense, be characterized as God's appointed day. This day, however, is unique and is to be distinguished from those that have preceded it. The designation seal of the prophets fully reveals and demonstrates its high station.
Thank you, Miss Donna. And I'll read this one. Expatiating on the forces latent in his revelation, Baha'u'lláh reveals the following. Through the movement of our pen of glory, we have, at the bidding of the omnipotent ordainer, breathed a new life into every human frame and instilled into every word a fresh potency. All created things proclaim the evidences of this worldwide regeneration. This is, he adds, the most great, the most joyful tidings imparted by the pen of this wronged one to mankind. How great, he in another passage acclaims, is the cause. How staggering the weight of its message. This is the day of which it hath been said, O my son, verily God will bring everything to light, though it were but the weight of a grain of mustard seed, and hidden in a rock, or in the heavens, or in the earth. For God is subtle, informed of all. By the righteousness of the one true God, if one speck of a jewel be lost and buried beneath a mountain of stones, and lie hidden beyond the seven seas, the hand of omnipotence will assuredly reveal it in this day, pure and cleansed from dross. He that partaketh of the waters of my revelation will taste all the incorruptible delights ordained by God from the beginning that hath no beginning to the end that hath no end. Every single letter proceeding from our mouth is endowed with such regenerative power as to enable it to bring into existence a new creation, a creation the magnitude of which is inscrutable to all save God. He verily hath knowledge of all things. It is in our power, should we wish it, to enable a speck of floating dust to generate in less than the twinkling of an eye suns of infinite, of unimaginable splendor, to cause a dewdrop to develop into vast and numberless oceans, to infuse into every letter such a force as to empower it to unfold all the knowledge of the past and future ages. We are possessed of such power, which, if brought to light, will transmute the most deadly of poisons into a panacea of unfailing efficacy. So there we are, dear friends, paragraphs 21 through 26. So awesome, so awesome. What an incredible paragraphs these are. And the power and glory of reading these, of the station of Baha'u'lláh. Every time I read these, it just leaves you breathless and in awe. So the first paragraph, 21, by the righteousness of God, wishing to reveal the full potency of his invincible power. Baha'u'lláh showing it's so cool. Should a man all alone arise in the name of Baha, all alone, and put on the armor of his love. And if you recall from Advent to Divine Justice, our class, that we should put on this armor of the love of God. And what is that armor of the love of God? We talked about it, these three weapons, the qualities, the rectitude of conduct, the chaste and holy life, the freedom from racial prejudices. These are just qualities and of attributes. And the armor of the love of God was even mentioned even in the time of the Bible, the qualities and attributes that would be noble and be worthy of carrying the name of the manifestation of God in that day and age. So in this day and age, to be a follower of Baha'u'lláh is to have those qualities that would be worthy of his name. So it says to put on this armor, right? To put on the armor of his love. Him will the Almighty cause to be victorious, though the forces of earth and heaven are arrayed against them. What are these forces of earth and heaven arrayed against them? Are we in a... These are the dark forces that we're talking about. It's not that we're going into, physical combat with the whole world. No, these are if the dark forces are all arrayed against you, even if the whole earth and heaven were arrayed against you, you would be victorious. And then this is the coolest. I love this. By God, this Baha'u'lláh speaking, by God, besides whom is none other than God. Should anyone arise for the triumph of for our cause, him will God render victorious, though tens of thousands of enemies be leagued against him. And then Baha'u'lláh states, and if his love for me wax stronger. Oh, that is so cool. That if all this opposition, all these per se attacks on you, whether it's verbal or machinations or lies are thrown against you, and your love for Baha'u'lláh burns ever stronger, and you do not vacillate. Your faith does not become weakened, but if your faith ever burns brighter and stronger, what does Baha'u'lláh say? He says, and if your love for me wax stronger. And why does he say wax stronger? It's like a candle, right? And now it becomes more fuel to the fire. God will establish his ascendancy over all the powers of earth and heaven. Oh, man, I love this language. So awesome. Please, Riaz John, you have a hand. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This reminds me of a statement by the guardian of the cause of God, Shawqi Effendi, in the publication called Call to the Nations. In that publication, Shawqi Effendi predicts the appearance and the existence in the future of the World Baha'i Commonwealth, bearing the name of Baha'u'lláh. So this is very striking from from this distance, from the future, that world commonwealth will bear the name of Baha'u'lláh and will be the World Baha'i Commonwealth.
Sure. Exactly. Thank you, Riaz John. Great comment. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And then, yes, we're at 8:33. So this is my last concluding thoughts. And then this is the King of Days. King of Days. This is the King of Days. And I've mentioned when we were studying Advent of Divine Justice, and in those paragraphs at the end of Advent of Divine Justice, talking about the prophecies of Baha'u'lláh, and how many times did the beloved guardian was quoting Baha'u'lláh at the very end of Advent of Divine Justice. Baha'u'lláh stating, this is the King of Days, this is the King of Days. And then at least 20 paragraphs in the opening of Gleanings from the Writings of Baha'u'lláh, Baha'u'lláh states, this is the King of Days. And then in this paragraph 22, again, emphatically, this is the King of Days. He extols the age that has witnessed the advent of his revelation, talking about how awesome this time that we are living in, the day that have seen the coming of the best beloved, who in him through all eternity have acclaimed the desire of the world. Every single manifestation, every single lesser prophet, every single seer and teacher, wise person has mentioned that this is the King of Days. This is the one that you've been waiting for thousands of years. And now the day has come. This is what it is. The world of being shineth in this day with resplendency of this divine revelation. All created things extol, means praise, glorify its saving grace and sing its praises. This is such a cool part here. The universe. Now this is mind-blowing. The whole universe is wrapped in an ecstasy of joy and gladness. Now, and we're not just talking about our little green blob sitting, with water and earth. We're talking about the universe, dear friends. The whole universe is wrapped in an ecstasy of joy and gladness. Now, something before my, as they say, concluding thoughts. We always talk about, that the manifestation of God is here for, his dispensation is 1,000 years. And so someone asked me, says, hey, where did these manifestations go? That Holy Spirit after he passes away, then he comes back in 1,000 years. And then one of my friends who's also a Baha'i, he said, well, there's so many other worlds, physical worlds they have to visit. And by the time that other 1,000 worlds, they visited all those other places, then they come, it's time to come back here because we've, digressed or gone off the mark enough. Then it's time for them to give an updated teaching per se, So that's just an idea from one of my friends. But the point is, the whole universe is wrapped in ecstasy and joy. This is mind-blowing that though every atom in the entire cosmic universe, physical reality, is glorifying this day that we are living. And so that is our concluding thoughts. Your homework, paragraphs 21 through 24, all right? Do not forget, read up. And I just wanted to leave it there. That's just so you guys understand, get a glimpse of what the day we're living in as being blessed to know about this manifestation of God, Bahá'u'lláh. And then the more that you get a feeling of that, how much more you should want to mention it. Open your mouth, and mention it to someone. And because that person eventually, and I've said this in our Advent class, they may be one of your best friends. And after you're gone, they'll say, hey, why didn't you tell me about this or that? You knew about it. You knew about this. I thought you were my friend. Why are you keeping this a secret? Man, that will be a knife to my heart. I swear to God, if someone that when I go up there and someone says, hey, Ehsan, I thought you were my friend and you didn't tell me, and you knew about this Baha'i thing or whatever, and you didn't tell me. Ugh, that's a knife to my heart, because we have an opportunity, right? We can open our mouth. And it's a demonstration of our love. It's a demonstration of our proof. Hey, it only takes, 30 seconds. Say, hey, have you heard of Baha'u'lláh? Have you heard of the Baha'i faith? And that's all it is. So anyway, dear friends, the hour is late. We're a few minutes over. Let us have a closing prayer. And as always, truly a pleasure being in your company this evening. Next week, we get into paragraphs 21 and 20 through 24. I will send you the slides of this past section, okay? So let us have a closing prayer. Any one of you, dear friends, feel free to share a prayer. Oh, thank you, Miss Yuda, as always. And then have a wonderful evening, every one of you.
O divine providence, this assemblage is composed of thy friends who are attracted to thy beauty and are set ablaze by the fire of thy love. Turn these souls into heavenly angels, resuscitate them through the breath of the Holy Spirit, grant them eloquent tongues and resolute hearts, bestow upon them heavenly power and merciful susceptibilities. Cause them to become promulgators of the oneness of mankind and the cause of love and concord in the world of humanity, so that the perilous darkness of ignorant prejudice may vanish through the light of the Sun of Truth. This dreary world may become illumined. This material realm may absorb the rays of the world of the Spirit. These different colors may merge into one color, and the melody of praise may rise to the kingdom of thy sanctity. Verily, thou art the omnipotent and the almighty. Abdul Baha.
Thank you, Miss Yuda. Beautiful. And thank you, every one of you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
All right. Thank you.